being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. We all know that, right? So it takes a village to get you from, you know, ideation phase up to an actual running of the business. So as you continue to build that village, constantly and continue to reach out to the CDFIs. You hear all the stuff in the news. That shouldn't be coming down to your level at this point. We haven't dried up. We're still here.
I think one thing that I would like to highlight on this topic is what Vandell mentioned earlier was that the system is not built to be changed or really to be disrupted. So there's a great opportunity, I think, for corporations and the industry as well to really step in and try and invest in any sort of innovation that will bring solutions. So what I mean by innovation is what can we do inside of the sector that will take a risk where the government isn't able to do so or does not want. So when we think about this path towards accessing capital, what other avenues are there besides going to a traditional lender to go get a loan? There are opportunities to work with community development financial institutions, which are mission-based lenders, like where Terrence is at. There are also a lot of, I think, great emerging programmings coming out too, where we're looking at the idea of a evergreen fund. So these are pooled resources that are coming in and continuously getting loaned out to entrepreneurs specifically designed to meet that friends and family need when it's not obtainable elsewhere. I'm specifically talking about groups like BitStar Funds. There's also the Jewish Free Loan Program. And these are individual groups that are providing loans at zero to no usage or no interest to very low interest with the intention of taking all the profits or the returns getting right back in that fund and then being deployed back into the community to another affair. So I think that, as of, right now, system's not going to change anytime soon, but there are plenty of opportunities for innovation.
This is great. So to not pick on you so much, Steven, we'll go to Terrence first, and then Nathan, and then Steven for this one. But, as entrepreneurs, we're looking to get in position for the funding, right? So is there any tips? Is there any indicators from, an industry perspective, like this company is giving out money or this industry is giving out money? Is there anything that, we can take away here to get in position better?
Yeah, I think it's the first thing that I say as a lender is know your business. No one is going to know your business better than you, right? And even the thought that wording is important. Giving out money, we don't do. We lend money. So as we are, looking at you and your business now, we lend money in which much more flexible terms than a traditional lender. For instance, for us, we don't have a minimal credit score. We don't have collateral requirements and things like that. If you had all of that as an entrepreneur, you would need a CDFI. You can go to a traditional lender and do that. So we are truly looking to hit those underserved communities. And by communities, I mean, one, in terms of location, but we focus on the south and west sides of the city, southern Cook County, but primarily underserved markets is what we say we're looking for. But then also community in terms of people, right? People of color have been overlooked. Women-owned businesses have been overlooked. So we focus on those communities in terms of how we deploy our dollars. What can you do? Like I said, it takes a village in terms of getting yourself ready to even approach a lender. A lot of people think that issue number one with their business is that they don't have access to capital. That's hardly ever the first issue. The first issue is, do you have your business plan? Do you have a business versus an idea? And it takes time to get from an idea to where you've even got anything that's bankable, even to a CDFI. But as an entrepreneur, it's about getting the education. It's about coming here to the Chicago Urban Youth. It's about going to Sunshine. It's about talking to a CDFI that does technical assistance and really working through that with you. I'll leave it there because I can deal with the horror stories about people that are trying to take the home-based business to a bricks and mortar, which means your community has to even be broader than just the typical. But figure out what it is, where you're headed, and then figure out the people that you need in your corner to kind of get you from point A to point B.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick pause. We got one more panelist joining us. Please join us on stage here. All right, can you do a quick introduction so we know who you are, and then we're going to ask you the question after either.
Oh, I saw my pretty picture there.
That we
So, hello everyone. My name is Martha Oghomeh. I work for Bank of America as a business banking relationship manager. I've been with the bank for over 10 years. I help business owners from 0 million to up to 20 million, to gain access capital, financial advisor, trusted advisor. I help you grow and make money.
Very nice. So I'm just going to repeat the question. Steve, you're still up next, but you'll be after him. And it was for the entrepreneurs to get in position for the funding. What are some indicators or tips that they can take away? So start, Stephen, again, so you have some time to think.
Well, Terrence started talking about this, but I want to double click on what he said. The first thing that entrepreneurs need to know is what is the full array of funding resources. It's become a lot more popular, I'd say, in the last 5 to 10 years. More people have found out about, let's say, VC or venture capital funding. And Rendell talked a little bit about this. That's kind of, to use Layla's term, that's kind of like one of the sexy funding sources. And it is a great source if it's the right source for you. VC is not the right source VC is not the right source for a lot of people. So know the difference between VC and a traditional bank loan. Know the difference between a bank loan and maybe a company that can give you what's called revenue-based or revenue-backed financing. Know the difference between that and working with a small business support organization that Nathan might fund or others might fund who can provide grants to you. Now, grants are fewer and much farther between, but the biggest thing I want to make sure entrepreneurs know is know your business and know what is the right funding source for you. And so, because it's a lot more than just what people think. Oh, I got to go find VC dollars.
Also, plus one and two, Terrence and Steven said, I think the greatest piece of advice I can add on to that is you got to know your numbers first and foremost, because when you're managing your business by the numbers, that's really what's going to really help you scale. The emotion, is important, but a lot of lenders, investors, really want to make sure that numbers piece is paired with that emotional support. You never know who you're going to run into wherever, in an elevator, out to dinner, at a networking event. Always have your 30-minute, 30-second pitch, your elevator pitch, your 5-minute pitch, your 10-minute pitch. Make sure that you know what beats you need to have to be able to tell a story of your business and the need that it fulfills and why it's important to them. Make sure you're also asking, I think, when you're in these spaces, we talk about capital as financial, but social capital piece too is just equally as important. Who you know is really going to help. So the more networking you're doing and leaning into the employees of the business support organizations that you're working with, asking them for introductions, asking them for events, helping to understand who's going to be at these events, so you know your audience and who you're talking to, I think will really help you.
And I go, Fleet. If I could amplify one of the things that Nathan said. He said, know your numbers to manage your business. Managing your business and running your business, two very different things. So, folks, entrepreneurs, they know how to make the widgets, they know how to make the cobbler, but in terms of managing a business, in terms of knowing those numbers, knowing what's selling well for you and what's not, and what's giving you the greater margin. So maybe I should do less of this versus that. That's managing your business. Making the widgets and making the pies or whatever else, your product is, that's running your business. So that's a key point.
Okay, so for me, I want to break it down a little more. So in my course of being with the bank for over 10 years, I've worked at the Auburn and Gresham location for Bank of America before it was closed down. I've worked at Hyde Park. I've worked at River Roads location. So I have a relationship with a lot of minority business owners and women-owned businesses. And one of the questions, connecting with knowing your numbers. And one of the questions I usually ask is, okay, what do you need money for? Tell me, break it down. Like, okay, I need money for a space. I need to get employees. I need to get supplies. Okay, what type of business do you do? So based on what you're telling me, I don't think you need a space right now. You can actually start from home, depending on the type of business you're doing, because you don't want to have so much overhead cost, and then you don't have the clients, you don't have the customers to be able to pay for all that overhead. You're already negative. So like you talked about the negative. Bank of America is a cash flow lending institution. So for every dollar you bring it, for every dollar that you're spending for your business, we expect that you're bringing in maybe $1.15 or $1.25. So how are you making that money back? So you always have to know your numbers. If there's no need for you to get a space, get an employee, you don't need to do it right away. And sometimes it's a tough conversation to have with clients, business owners, that are too excited, but you have to bring them back. Like, not yet. Not yet.
This is great. This is great. So, Nathan, we'll start with you and then work our way around this way. So, let's focus on strategies for entrepreneurs. What are some practical steps entrepreneurs of color can take to remain competitive for either grants, loans, or just corporate partnerships in general?
First, I think I'll double down. Grants are just not a sustainable way to run a business. There are opportunities, I think, through the county and the city that will allow you to apply for support depending on what neighborhood you're in or the industry. But at the end of the day, it's just not a sustainable approach. What I will say is, I think just what we were just mentioning right now really is, understanding your business and having the ability to effectively tell your story, and making sure that those that you are keeping close around you are helping you tell that story. I think that one thing that we do hear is that there are not enough mentors that are available to us to help take us to the next level. There are plenty of opportunities to receive mentorship when you're in the ideation phase, but once you get to that point, it's I graduated from the program. I'm now going to go do my own thing. And then you're like, oh crap, I'm in the real world all by myself. I need to go take another program. So you take another program, your business changes a little bit because you receive some different advice from somebody who has no idea what you're doing yet when you graduate and you do another program. I think the best way to help prepare yourself with your numbers and your story to get ready for that infusion of capital really is to have that trusted relationship with a mentor or advisor that you meet either with somebody through Chicago Urban League or another business support organization. But that trust piece is just so important when you're working with these advisors, because they're going to make introductions to people that you do not know. But because we trust them and they have trust built in another person, you're able to receive the services.
Okay. So, for business owners, I tell them, like, you have to join organizations, you have to attend events, networking events. And me personally, my business owners, my clients, I make sure that any events that would align to what they're looking to get done, I make sure I invite them for those events. Networking is so huge. It is so important, and it's so important that you also follow up with prospective clients. You have to have a consistent way of doing your businesses. Apart from the financial aspect that we talked about, getting the funding, CDFI. So Bank of America actually partners with a lot of CDFI. So we have an ongoing relationship with Allies for Community Business Services. So for many of our clients, and I'm not able to get them funding from the bank right away, I make sure that, I have alternative sources where they can get that funding. So Allies for Community Services come a long way with Bank of America, and we're able to get a lot of funding for my clients. And even at the bank, I've had clients that started with just having a credit card start to grow their business. And some of them are in 5 million, 10 million revenue. I'm only starting with a credit card. Which is why I said, you don't need a space if you don't need work. You don't need employees. Start small and grow. Grow organically, grow responsibly.
So, and just a little bit more about my background. So, I am not a small business owner, but I have co-founded a couple of small business initiatives and funded several others, some along with Nathan. And so, one of the biggest thing I tell entrepreneurs is, and Rendell talked a little bit about this. If you are an entrepreneur, you are a founder or you are a business person, but you are not the customer. There have been so many times when entrepreneurs had this great idea and they just charged forward with their great idea, but a great idea does not make a great business. Only something that has been verified by customers makes a great business. So how do you verify it by a customer? You have to do what's called customer discovery. That is probably the most before you even get to the funding conversation, because a lot of times people have their idea and they think, well, here's my idea. I'm going to have a brick and mortar, and I'm going to do this, and I need 5 trucks, and I need and so they develop this cost structure based upon their thoughts, but not based upon what their prospective customers actually want. So if you do nothing, well, before you do, start kind of filling out your dream scenario of what you want your business to look like, at a very early stage, find people who you think might use your product and ask them. If they don't use it, that's a sign. Or if it's not something that they would really want, that's a sign. So discovery, validation, validation.
And I think putting a bow on all the comments that were made, there's a saying that says, the money will find the right project. So if you've done everything that's been mentioned here, the networking, the discovery, the knowing your numbers, all of that stuff, and you're out there talking to people, the money will find you. Now, don't take that so literally, say as though sitting in the house and just wait for somebody to knock at your door. But if you are out doing the things that have been said here, you will find funding for the right project and when you're ready. So keep that in mind. Keep go and keep encouraged, especially if you are getting that validation that your idea is on point and it's worthy of a business. The money will find you. So keep that hope alive.
This is really good, really insightful. So, oh my gosh. So the thing we keep hearing is that we cannot invest or we should not be saying DEI and things like that. And the things I'm hearing is storytelling and data are really, really important in this. So let's get some more advice on that. Please provide some context for what you guys are looking for. How can entrepreneurs best storytell and combine that data? Is it on their website? Is it pitching? Is it in person? Like, what are you guys looking for specifically when we say data and storytelling? What is most compelling to you?
And as a CFI, a mission-based lender, in addition to all this, not in lieu of, remember who you're talking to. I mean, if you are talking to a traditional lender compared to a mission-based lender, if you've got anything that's talking about how you and your product or your business serves a particular community and it's mission-based, don't hide that either. So some of the things that may not be all codified in the numbers, but it's a huge part of why you're doing what it is that you do, the impact that it's going to have on a community. Certain folks want to hear that story. So as you again as you pull your story together in that 1 minute pitch, if you're not including that in your pitch to everyone, you can choose in terms of where you think that it'll play well. Because again, we're mission based, so I'm looking most of the loans that we make. I always hesitate to say this, but it's true. So outside of this room, if you tell me that what you said it was a relationship based only, I'm going to deny it. But we do relationship based loans, right? We are hitting underserved communities. We are hitting folks that, it's going to be a riskier loan. That's why a traditional bank won't do it. So what am I looking for? I'm trying to size you up in terms of, do I think this person, if I give them a loan, will they repay? Are they committed to their business? Are they committed to the mission of Greenwood Archer Capital that says they are lending money to me, and me paying back my loan is what allows the next business to get a loan? Are they committed to that? That is what we are looking for. So as part of your story, don't be ashamed of any mission or any emotional tie to you, because that may play with some folks.
I think from the perspective of Chicago's local philanthropy community, I really want to give it up to them. I think ever since January 20th, there's been just daily, weekly, monthly meetings that continuously happen where funders are coming together to understand how they can best show up for not only their grantee partners, but more specifically those that they serve directly in the community. And I'll say there's been a lot of swallowing of pride as well too. Legal teams are going very deep into the recommendations of that program officers like myself will make to our board of directors of organizations to serve, and why. If there's any sort of listing or description of specifying DEI, we're being asked to remove that. And while we understand that some of the wording is changing right now in this moment, our intention is still very clear, and we're still trying to get the resources out where they are needed best. Everything feels different this time around because democracy feels like it at stake. So that being said, I thought that there was a wonderful referendum in this last recent election cycle. I'm definitely looking forward to the future, but there's still some weathering that's going on. But I think that now more than ever, the local philanthropic community is really banded together. Everyone's signing on letters saying that we're not going to back down. We want to support these communities where they are, and onward. Wonderful.
And I add something real quick. So about storytelling, part of my job for my business owners is to make sure that, we tell me about the businesses. And I tell them, so I break it down and say, just imagine I'm your attorney. You got to tell me the truth. The whole truth. I could be your doctor. Doctor wants to make sure you're okay. You have to tell me the truth. You have to tell your doctor the truth. Pastors too, you have to tell the whole truth. Wow. So I tell me the truth. And I don't want surprises. Just like when we're going into underwriting, and the underwriter is looking at stuff, I'm like, you tell me what is going on. And I will tell a story on how we can mitigate that. So storytelling is so important. Always tell the truth. I prefer you tell me the truth rather than, oh my God, I didn't know that. But tell the truth, and your banker will help you.
To that point, the truth is going to come out. Us telling you to know your numbers is because the numbers tell so many stories. So if you don't know it, we're gonna be pointing it out to you when it comes through. So absolutely, and whoever you're dealing with, if you're coming in through me, don't look at me as an adversary. I am the person that's going to be advocating on their behalf
in these meetings. So here, if you're, that's a nice way to put it. You are true to your within out. Be truthful to you. Always got to give it back, post, but we will serve whoever fits in that bucket of being on your service. You can't get a traditional loan. We're room now conversation period. The communities that we serve on the southwest side are by default kind of visit us, but yeah, it's a place where we are or comfortable with that and could boost the ships a little bit, but we're still hitting that underserved population and it's inconsistent. It's consistent with our mission. We're all about it.
Oh, okay. Well, so I like to make sure my clients know that I'm the advocate. So I work for the bank, but I'm going to tell the truth to you as my clients. So I've had situations where I've had to do a lot of storytelling, mitigate risk, and fights for my clients. And that is because at the outset of our conversations, they laid it out to me. And I have a lot of black owned business clients. I have a huge uh, number of clients that have women owned businesses. I've had clients like 8 years back, 9 years back, reach out to me like, "Are you still a thing of America?" And they're googling my name, they're searching my name. "Oh, yeah, I found your number online. Like, you helped us in the past. We still want to continue with you." For me personally, I worked at the bank for over 10 years. Bank of America is so understanding with at looking for ways and opportunities to grow and help minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. We had a grant, which it ended already. We had a grant to help business owners who were looking to purchase real estate, to help with the businesses. It was 25,000, I think. But it's ended, but we have so many resources. We have grants, scholarship. We have so many to help business owners. And I won't be here if I'm not true to what I'm talking about, but I can guarantee you, Bank of America is big, but I'm your advocate, so I can take care of it.
All right, so how do we go about leveraging community capital, collective economies, new investment model to create a self-sustaining funding ecosystem? Any insight for us?
Oh, that's stay. But there are a couple of models that are solved. I'm gonna put my African American legacy sponsor from the Chicago Community Trust hat on and talk about there is a growing, and these have been around. They're starting to get more traction about community wealth building, and community wealth building has traditionally been, hey, how can we get as many entrepreneurs, like individual entrepreneurs, as possible in a community within an area? But there's a different spin on that, which is how can we increase the number of assets within communities that have that have collective ownership. So it's not about, hey, we have 5 entrepreneurs with 5 different businesses. That's good. But how can we increase having a business and there are 5 different folks in the community that own that business? So there are worker cooperatives, there are community investment vehicles, there are community real estate trusts. And so the ability for us to, and this is an area that not only is the Chicago Community Trust, particularly the African American Legacy Fund, starting to dive deeper into the city of Chicago. It's called the, I think it's called, I just heard Commissioner Sear boat around. I think it's called the WOW. Wow. Yeah, the well away. Yeah, what's up on that way? And then they're working with the community. So Janae, yeah, we know Janae DeVille. She has expertise in this area, and so the community desk, and then there's kind of it's not a subsidiary, but a related organization called the Web, which works with the desk. They provide technical assistance, and so you have a neighborhood. Let's say you have a block club,
and you say, you know what? There's a way for us, as opposed to all of us going to a big box a big box store that they don't know our name, they don't necessarily care about us. Could we start a community-owned co-op to buy fresh fruits and vegetables? Okay. So there are organizations out there that can help you to create a shared models. And so I think that is a good complement to the individual entrepreneurship route, helping our communities actually gain joint ownership in assets within our communities. So that's my perspective.
And I think too, as an entrepreneur, it's easy to get caught up in your business. I think it's that next step should also be, as an entrepreneur, where does your business fit within your community, and how can your business impact, whatever the 2 to 3 square miles around it. One of the things that we see in terms of certain communities is that it's you can have 1 or 2 entrepreneurs in that community, but you still leaving your community to go do your dry cleaning, or potentially there's no grocery store, or there's whatever services that you need. We don't have in any of these communities all the time. So as an entrepreneur, once you kind of got your business up and running, start thinking about that larger viewpoint and vantage point. And maybe this is the mission focus in me coming out, but you know, for Greenwood Archer Capital, we do a great job in terms of distributing loan capital to small businesses. If you guys are looking for capital and you're at that place, definitely come talk to me, because we do that extremely well. The next part of it for us is expanding that. Now that we've hit on some of the individual well, now let's start talking about the community, what that is. How do we concentrate investments on corridors? How do we bring more to Bronzeville than just the one little restaurant that we propped up, or the coffee shop so that now folks in Bronzeville in general is now a sustainable community, or self-sustained, where you don't have to go to either, because right now it's you go to either Hyde Park or South Route, depending on what it is they eat. But there's so many assets, and to be honest, you mentioned assets within the community. Assets don't have to just be a business or just your house. For places like Bronzeville, you got things like the Southside Community Arts Center, you got the Harold Wash, like all these different assets within the community that we should all be trying to rally around and build out for. So I challenge you as entrepreneurs to not only crop up your business, but then start to think about how your business and its waste in the community around you as well.
I think there's a whole piece around advocacy to that too that I think is very important, and the collective voice of the small business owners here in Chicago. Illinois is not the greatest state to start and grow a business in because of our tax structure, but we do have collective power and our voice advocacy for our needs. I think that the 10,000 small businesses program, once they surpassed 10,000, they ended up opening up 10,000 small business voices, because they got to understand you can have all these learnings in the world and build out your growth plan and work with your advisor. But if the system doesn't change, or if there aren't the open opportunities to run your business that you need to, then what is it all for? I think in Chicago for the longest time, it's there are benefits for landlords to heat their air-smoke vacant, as opposed to having it rented out to endowment floor. So there are groups like the Small Business Advocacy Council that are working with 17 separate organizations to try and to sort of reverse that, where the benefit is to landlord ownership and not to fix. But if people aren't getting loud, then I was in return.
Okay, so if you can give entrepreneurs one power move to secure funding in the next 12 months, what would that be?
Okay, mine is just probably gonna be like an advice to go the buy and sell days. So I've been doing sales for almost 20 years now, and anytime I go out for an event, I go to church, I go to the grocery store, that is my opportunity to have a connection with at least 5 people and tell them what I do. So relate that to you as a business owner. My kids do not like to go with me to the grocery store because they tell me like, everybody is your friend at the grocery store. I said, yeah, everybody's my friend. So you have to make sure you know that having as part of your mindset perspective that anytime you go out of your home, even in your home, have at least 5 people you want to talk to about your business. Layla talked about it and how she had to go from door to door, everywhere. That's what you're gonna do. It's your business. You want it to grow. And sometimes you might not even need content. As long as you have that clientele base, that would actually help you grow your business organically, responsibly. You are in your neck already. That if you need to expand, then you can come to the bank. I can guarantee you it works. Although it annoys my kids, but it does work. For sure.
I guess this is our final kind of word wrap up. I think both Martha and Terrence said it earlier, but really no. So if funding is what you're looking for, then unless you find a grant making source that provides grant funding, which means you don't have to pay it back, which is very rare, then your ability to access funding will heavily depend on your ability to demonstrate that you can pay it back. Or if not pay it back, in the case of the VC, that you can actually make the person that invested you can make them more money. But the only way to do that is to really know who your customer is and really dig down into that so that you can show, hey, I have a I know who my customer is and I have a backlog. Like I can't even service my customers because I am so focused. I got backlog, but I got pent up demand. That's what funders want to see. They want to see pent up demand. So because what that shows is, if I give them money, they can execute. Well, assuming you know how to execute. But if I give them money, that money can turn into sales. Sales turns into revenue, and I can get my money back soon. That's what. If you want to unlock funding, know your customers, go deep into those customer needs, show that you have a backlog of demand, and the money will.
Because he said power,
Yeah.
I'll say, and I think this potentially applies to all people. It may not apply with me, but I'm believing you're unique. Having advocates, right? I think while you're out there, selling your wares and selling yourself, there is a lot of power in having someone else selling on your behalf, selling you on your behalf. Um, and it goes back to what Martha was saying in terms of the networking. Networking, be strategic in your networking. Networking for networking's sake sometimes is a waste of time. But if you are strategic in your networking and you picked the right advocates, having someone else, know my mission and come up to me and say, you know what, Naomi, she's doing such and such, such, got a great product, got a great business idea. I think there could be some collaboration with you. If you should reach out to her. And if it's somebody that I trust, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna reach out to Naomi. So she's got somebody advocating on her behalf. So the networking is key. It's key. It's key. Be strategic about it. And I think that a great power move is surrounding yourself with the right advocates so that you can expand your region in your efficiency.
you're reaching out.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is a very lonely and very steep experience. So any opportunity that you have to get in with other small business owners to just start shop or to vent or to learn something from them, take every opportunity that you can. But really, you gotta take care of yourself and your own mental health. I know that it's hard talking about succession planning and exit planning. Like, can either get your mind to think about the next week. Any opportunities I do have, do what you need to do to sever yourself into that, do some yoga, just find that peace because it's just that chaos, man. You know,
Great. First, can we give a round of applause for our families here? So, yeah, we're going to open it up for questions, but I do want to say like one little 30-second tidbit here to kind of connect the dots. We talked about the power move, right? So I want to give my little subject matter expertise again just to make it a little bit more sticky or applicable for everyone here. So I used to be a underwriter for ProgramDirector Capital when they were Chicago neighborhood initiatives. And so what I can say is a power move or things to start doing is to understand how everyone here applies to you all, right? So if you are going to go straight to a bank and get funding that is by far going to be your best interest, go understand how the bank underwrites it, right? Big box bank is going to look at just your business capital and those cash flows and then the credit worthiness of that individual. Whereas with a CDFI, they are literally meant to spur economic development. So they are not a charity. You're not going to just say yes to everyone. As a matter of fact, if they say no, they have to give you a plan of action to correct the, right? But even if they do say, yes, they're looking at what's called a global cash flow analysis. So they're looking at your personal income as well as your business income, your personal credit. So your credit doesn't necessarily even deter them from saying yes or no, so it can help, but it's more character based, right? So the things you can do to get in, power move now, what's some other avenue, what's some other income revenue that you can start going on a personal side to get in position? Start driving Uber. You don't even need to apply anywhere, right? But the fact that you can bring in an extra $600, $1,200 a month, you can show that you do that for 3 months and then go apply, you're going to be way more attractive to that CDFI making. They're not taking those steps. So that's a real quick power lift for that. Once you build your relationship with the CDFI, you've gotten this loan, you've proven your credit worthiness over a year or two, you graduate from that loan, now you can go back to your big box bank, right? You kept that relationship going, you probably got your debit card and such going there. Now you can go back and get that business loan, but you used all the people in the ecosystem correctly, right? So that's what you can do on the for-profit side. On the nonprofit side, let's talk about these other two lenders here, right? We're trying to talk through grants. I would say the biggest thing for them is, again, understanding that storytelling. Where do you sit in the ecosystem? Where does that benefit the ecosystem? And more importantly, how do they tell their success story by investing in you? If you can connect that dot, then that's the biggest key. So you cannot do that unless you understand what they're looking for, what they invest in, and unless you've built a relationship with them. So don't go in, you've been to a Verizon event a year, you've been to a Coleman event all year and think you're gonna get some funding. You need to show up, shake some hands, let them get familiar with you, let them come to your events too, and then you guys will be more in position. So I would say get more hungry, be more strategic, and understanding how the ecosystem works. That's your power grip. So thank you. We're gonna open up to questions.
As a first-time tech founder, what advice or resources can you share regarding navigating funding rounds and equity sharing? Anyway.
First time tech founder. It's really important that you become crystal clear. And if I want to rehash just because. So this question is sound like Jeffrey. This is the perfect question for the answer that I gave earlier. You make sure that you know what the problem you're solving. Make sure you have validated your solution for solving their problem with potential users so that I actually have a market for this. Because unfortunately, what some people do, again, they think about founding and tech companies like a science project. Oh, I have a great idea. Let me go get some money for it. And what will end up happening is some people, unfortunately, not a lot of us, but there are some people who can get ideas and they can just get founded on ideas. It doesn't work out. That's okay. They'll try again. Well, for founders of color, we don't know a lot enough get a chance to just try again. So it's important that you do your homework, validate your concept, and concept validation doesn't mean that you need to go and hire a program. Go and get the least expensive version of your MVP. That's minimal viable product. So what you think the answer is, build it as cheaply as possible, get it validated. And if enough people say, yeah, this is good, then you can start looking for funding to get you to the next milestone. Too many times people say, you know what, I need to raise $5 billion. No, what you really need is about $50,000 right now to get you from, MVP to prototype. That's what you want to focus on. So it's got to know how to stage gate the process. But the first thing is make sure that your concept is validated and that you actually have customers for your perceived or what you think is your property.
That was good. That was good, Steve. Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, so for us at the bank, depending on the size of what you're looking to get done, if it's something that is not so capital intensive, people start with a credit card. If it's not capital intensive, you can start with credit card. So Bank of America, for business owners starting out, you do not need to have any form of business credit with us. We pull personal credit for applications for credit cards, and once it's approved, it goes under the business name. So the employee will show up on your personal credit, but the card itself is going to go under the business. So you're building credit for the businesses. Like I said, I've had a lot of clients that started with just with credit cards. They're 3 million, 5 million, 10 million in my span, being with the banks. And alternatively, too, you have the Allies for Community Business. You have the CKFIs. You also have venture capital. So in business banking, we have so many partners, resources that can help with business owners looking to get jumpstart businesses. They're transitioning, they're expanding. In addition to that, because sometimes we will actually tell you that, hey, go to Im or Harris. They actually have a department that helps startups. So we do recommend a lot of other financial institutions where they're sure that they can be able to help. So we're never gonna just send you away without giving you alternative ways you can actually get the funding to help your business.
I have someone, we have another question, and I'm going to take one more question. Actually, I'm going to take two more questions. As the last question, we'll wrap it up. Okay. The question is, if someone has skipped a customer problem analysis and validation phase, how can they revisit this set?
Expand on that a little bit.
So person is here, you want to expand on it?
I can do it. It's not for me. It's actually someone I know that's having this problem, and I recognize it pretty early on. And I'm sorry, I'm playing check if you guys don't know, but I feel like right now they're at the so with the company, they invested a lot of money in it. And right now it's like, okay, we've invested this much, we may have to close. But I think a part of it is because I never actually did that customer analysis and validation to see if this was a product that was needed and done the research, yada, yada, yada. Basically to see what a potential customer might want and what to be a part of their platform and towards that platform. And so, yeah, I'm just wondering what type of advice I can share with them to go back and revisit doing that, as opposed to having to pause everything or update.
So they've already launched? Well, if they've already launched, there's still, I'm assuming, there's probably still some valuable information that they're getting from the current customer base that they got. To me, it sounds like there's two options. Either you pivot based on that feedback, or you shut it down and it's just not successful.
Yeah. Like customer discovery is an iterative process. So it's not like, okay, I did my discovery, I talked to 100 people. Now I'm done with that. Now I'll move to the next. It's a loop. It's a feedback loop. And as you go along, it's even like, even though you're moving forward, you're still making that iterative loop to say, okay, I made this tweak. Does this tweak resonate? So even if you're at the point where, wow, I spent a whole lot of money and I'm not getting traction, that's okay. Talk to more people. Find more. If you talk to someone, say, you know what? If this didn't resonate with you, who might this resonate with? And that's where you talk. That's where you do your networking to say, all right, who do you think I should talk to next? And then but it's an iterative loop. There's no point in which you say, well, there's no more discovery to do. I'm done with that. So just continue to get more folks and more eyes and more opinions, and continue to evolve the product put there. Hopefully, as cheaply as possible at that point.
I do want to say one thing too. Sometimes sometimes they have the wrong person they're trying to sell. Right? So they have like a good product, but they're spinning their wheels. Like if you got a product for a university, for example, they're reaching out to the president and the provost. It's too busy. But if that product was good for like career services, then now there's a path to action. Now you can speak more to their pain points and get faster response rate. It's like they're selling to the wrong person. So if it is B2B sales, maybe there's something to talk to you there. How is their sales strategy? And maybe you switch that in versus just the product work.
All right, this is our last question because we got to get ready for the pitch competition. So this is the last and final question, just in case someone that's in here is pitching. So great questions, because they may have to pivot and pitch a little bit. What specific numbers should be included when discussing your business, whether in an elevator pitch with someone influential, you're on an elevator, you want to talk to somebody, or in a pitch competition? Give them some help. Give them some help.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like this answer. It depends. It depends on your business. Some businesses may be revenue driven. Some businesses may be margin driven. I mean, at the end of the day, is what your bottom line is in terms of, how much does it actually make in your ability to repay investors or provide a return or repay debt. But looking at a construction business is different than just making widgets. So that's part of the discovery and the you knowing your business in terms of like what drives profitability for we'll discuss and focus on that.
If it's an elevator pitch, you don't really have time to get the numbers. An elevator pitch is your elevator pitch is here's the problem I'm solving, and here's why my solution, I believe, can not only solve the problem but create a bigger impact. That's the elevator pitch. You don't have time to get an elevator 30 seconds. You don't have time to get the numbers. If they are so moved by your problem you're solving and the solution you have, then that's when they get off the elevator and say, give me a call and we'll schedule more time. But elevator pitch, you don't have time to get a whole bunch of stuff in.
The only numbers I think at that point that you really need to consider yourself with are your number of customers or the number of people that have the problem we're trying to solve the issue.
Bingo. Unless you already have some traction, that's it. That's a good. Yes.
Love that. I agree with everything they said about the elevator pitch. I just